In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to start your own clothing brand using only Taobao. And at the end, I'll give you a comparison chart of the pricing and the shipping so that you can determine if this is the kind of business for you. So I actually recently did this for a subscriber on how to walk them through the whole journey of starting their own clothing brand in China. They are from Puerto Rico, so the idea is that they start from scratch, the whole clothing brand, and then it ships to Puerto Rico, and then in Puerto Rico, they can sell it locally. But let me go through first of what exactly you need to actually start this kind of business. The first is a payment gateway for Taobao. If you don't know, you need to have an Alipay to buy stuff on Taobao. Some credit cards may work. I've seen it work for some countries, but it's not always 100%. Don't worry though. You can watch this video right here on exactly how to open the Alipay Tour Pass to go ahead and use Alipay using a foreign credit card in China. You need to have a freight forwarder. Yes, Taobao gives you the option to ship overseas, but in most cases, the supplier won't be willing to because it's a big hassle. They have to deal with customs, paperwork, and all that stuff that's just not worth their time. So having a freight forwarder makes it a lot easier. So the idea is you ship it from the factory to the warehouse in China, and then it goes to the final destination. Don't worry, I know a couple freight forwarders, and I have a Wechat group full of freight forwarders. So if you ever need any recommendations for shipping, go ahead and write down in the comments below, or you can contact me in social media, all in the description down below. You obviously need your clothing design, right? Like you need to have some kind of design on exactly what your brand's gonna be like, whether the design of the front of the shirt, the design of the back of the shirt, and also labeling you see in the back of your shirt. You need to have all that ready to go because then you're going to discuss with the supplier exactly how you want your shirt to look like. And last thing, this is not 100% mandatory but highly recommended, is Wechat. A lot of these Taobao suppliers, you can actually negotiate pricing with them through Wechat. And I'll go into a little bit more detail later in this video. So the first step is to actually search for a supplier. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Taobao. And you can see the Taobao homepage. It may look a little bit different if you're using the world version, which is without having a Chinese connection, but it's pretty much similar. Before I continue, I want to show you a cool feature about Google Chrome. It's something I recommend you use. If you go into the settings, then you click down in advanced settings, you can see language here. And more importantly, offer to translate pages that aren't in a language you read. You want to check that if your main language is English. So when you go to Taobao, you can right click the screen and simply click translate to English. And you can see it translated in English just like that. I'm going to keep it in Chinese so that you can have an understanding of your interface. So you can see I actually have Google Translate on the side, and you'll see exactly why I have this in the future. But if you want to look for a t-shirt, so in this example, we're going to go for do-it-yourself or print-on-demand design t-shirt. So what you want to search for is 定制. Then you can just say T-shoe. It's actually pretty close to what it sounds like. Then maybe 品牌, which is a brand. You want to do your logo. Then you simply want to click on search. If you don't know these Chinese characters, no big deal. I'll put them down in the description down below. You don't have to worry about that. You can simply copy and paste. You can also use Google Translate. You can type in English, custom t-shirt design, and it will pop up the translation in Chinese here. So you can see here there are different kind of options, do-it-yourself options. So I'm just going to select this one right here. You can see the kind of designs they've done in the past. They have different colors. Again, this is all up to you. You should already have your design ready to go. So my recommendation is to actually add this to your cart just so you have it saved as a backup for your Taobao. By the way, if you don't have Taobao, you definitely should check out this link right here, and I show you how to set it up from scratch so that you can go ahead and get started. Once you add it to the cart, at least you have it saved. But what I recommend is to contact them directly. So you're going to see this little bubble guy. I guess I call it a bubble guy. You can contact the seller directly there. If you're using the world version, the bubble guy may be down here somewhere. Just look for this blue guy and you'll be okay. So you can contact the seller. You see that if I'm using the desktop version, I actually need to open a third-party application. And then I can go ahead and talk to the customer. Here you can see some chat. I can talk to the customer and ask him about the designs and all that. You can do that on your own. If you don't want to download the third-party application on your desktop version, just use your mobile app. If you save this supplier into your cart, you can just open up your cart on the mobile app of Taobao, and then you can click the same bubble guy, and you don't need to download another application. It's more convenient. But the reason I use a third-party application is because you can use Google Translate back and forth easily versus on Taobao. So you can see the pricing here. So I'm going to select, I want to buy a large, blue, and then you can go ahead and purchase it from there. But before purchasing it, I highly recommend you hash out the details with the supplier, communicating them on Taobao. Okay, so that's searching for a t-shirt design. Let's go ahead and search for a label. It's almost the same thing. It'd be 定制, then 服装 clothing, then label 标签. Then you can see different label companies. This is a label that goes in the back of your t-shirt. If you want to go this far, of course, if you just want to stay with simple t-shirt design and they do their default custom label, you can obviously do that as well. But yeah, you can see the different labels for different kinds of shirt sizes. The last thing I want to go through is if you have a bag that goes with your order, so that looks a little bit more professional to your customers. So then again, it's 定制 custom, 服装 clothing, and then you call it 袋子, which is bag. Okay. You see different kinds of bags that are offered. Just an example. See, you can actually ask the supplier if they can actually print your design on this bag so that when you get the whole package, you can give it to your customers with a custom bag. So yeah, I kind of walked you through some examples on how to find the shirt, the label, and the bag that goes with it. So it's a whole package. Now, as I mentioned before, I recommend you try and add their Wechat, although it's sometimes taboo to ask for their Wechat on Taobao. And there's kind of like a code to ask for their Wechat, because if they sense that you're sending Wechat QR codes or you use Weixin, which is the Chinese name of Wechat, then they may like block your account or give you a warning. It's like if you ever shopped on eBay and you try to contact the buyer and you say, hey, add me on Facebook and we can deal with this transaction offline so I don't have to deal with any extra fees eBay gives me. It's kind of like that, a little taboo. But the code to using Wechat is just ask, can I have your WX, which is pretty much the Pinyin shortened version of Weixin. And Wechat has built-in translations. If you don't know how to use Wechat, I highly recommend you watch this video, and it goes exactly on how to use Wechat and all its features, and it's very foreigner friendly. I've also found that it's a lot easier to go ahead and send pictures to the supplier versus using their built-in platform on Taobao. It's a little bit tedious to use, but if you use Wechat, it's a lot more user-friendly. So that's why I recommend using Wechat. Just note, some Taobao suppliers may not give you their Wechat. There is that possibility. When communicating with these suppliers, trying to be as specific as possible, they deal with requirements. So you need a label, how big, like 50 by 50 millimeters, exactly where do you want the design to be printed, and then they'll send you proofs and design before you print it off. And this will all be handled beforehand. So don't pay them until they give you a design beforehand and you're like, yep, I agree with this. So you send them the picture and then they give you the feedback of the design on the label on the t-shirt. Once you're satisfied with the results, then you can go ahead and move forward with the purchasing. Now, I recommend you keep the purchasing on Taobao to maintain that buyer protection, but it may be a little bit different because you're doing it do-it-yourself, so they may not be a custom price. Instead, they'll guide you on how to pay for it and to write a note on how to pay for it, and then they'll handle it from there because they may not be included in one of the packages they have on their store in Taobao. Now, this is a seller you trust and you already have business with in the past. Then you can just simply pay them directly on Alipay, and they can kind of walk you through that, or on Wechat, and they can go ahead and start the process there. But at least Taobao, if you buy something, you have buyer protection from the seller. And obviously know that the samples are going to be more expensive than the bulk price. And I'll go into that at the end with the cost comparisons. But when you pay for the sample pricing, expect to pay a little bit more, not a little bit no more, a lot more than if you're buying in bulk. So the next step after you are satisfied with samples, communicating with the supplier, and you're ready to order your samples, is to actually ship the item. As I mentioned before, you can't ship the item directly from Taobao. There are exceptions. I've seen exceptions, like if you want to ship from mainland to Hong Kong, the process is tedious in Taobao, and I'm just going to make it easy for you. Find a freight forwarder. If you don't have contacts for a freight forwarder, you can message me on social media. I'll make sure to get you in the right direction. You can also look at this video right here on exactly how to buy stuff from Taobao without using an agent and using an automatic freight forwarder. You do need a Wechat account to use it though. So the concept is this way with your freight forwarder. You buy on the Taobao platform, you put the address of your freight forwarder, the warehouse, wherever it may be in China, on Taobao. So then the supplier ships it to the warehouse. Then from the warehouse, they communicate with you directly and say, okay, we're shipping it to the final destination in the USA, Canada, wherever it may be. Something I want you guys to know of is if there's not a one-stop shop supplier, which I haven't found one yet, that can do the label and the t-shirt design together, you may have to send the label to the factory that does the t-shirts. Then the t-shirts prints the design of the t-shirt and puts the label in the back, the custom label, and then ship it to the warehouse manager. Again, just communicate with your suppliers to make sure the process is clear beforehand. Okay, as I mentioned earlier in this video, now I'm going to compare the cost to see if this business is worth it for you. So as you can see in my Excel file, I kind of labeled this as an example of buying a sample or buying 100 items in bulk. So on the left side, I have the prices in RMB. This is just me doing research with the actual suppliers. And you can see the sample pricing is a lot more expensive than the bulk pricing. So to buy one sample, it costs 150 RMB for just the label, which is expensive, but just bear with me. 28 RMB for shirts, Ziploc bag is 80 RMB, and shipping is 250 RMB. Now, I conveniently made the conversion here in USD in the event that you may get a little confused. So this is the original price on Taobao, and this is converted in USD. For bulk, this is also communicating with the supplier, and you can actually negotiate this if you push them hard enough and if you buy enough bulk. So if I buy 100 items of the label, each label will cost me about 1 RMB and 30 cents, which would be equivalent of 20 cents in the US. A shirt would be 24 RMB, which would be equivalent of almost $3.5. The Ziploc bag with the design that I mentioned before would be 1.3, which would be 0.2 cents, which would be 20 cents in the US. And then the shipping to send all hundreds. Now this is an estimate. It could be cheaper, it could be more expensive. But in this case, I use the US. And this can also be like cheaper. I just use a guesstimate tool from my freight forwarder. You can see it's about $214 for shipping. You can see a whopping shipping for the sample is about $40. So it's probably not worth doing print on demand. So the total cost for the print on demand or the sample size would be about $100. Yeah, not worth it. You can easily go to Teespring or other third-party platforms that already exist and do the print on demand and sell shirts for $20 for profit. But here's where it gets interesting. If you buy everything in bulk, the total cost would be almost $600, and that's including shipping and everything, okay? Now, if you consider per item, how much it costs per item, in this example, I used 100. So you pretty much divide this number by 100, and for each shirt, to include the label, the design, and the bag that goes with it, the gift bag, is less than $4. For the shipping is around $2. So essentially you're paying $6 per shirt to go to your doorstep if you buy in bulk. Let's say I'm going to price my shirt at $25, not including shipping. It's just $25. The customer will pay shipping from there. Now let's say you price each shirt at $25 and you've already spent $600 to pay for everything in bulk. If you were to sell 24 shirts, you'd be breaking even, and the rest, which would be 76 shirts, would be pure profit. Now this can be changed. If you want to sell each shirt for $20, then you're going to need to sell 30 shirts before you break even, and then you can have a potential profit of $1,400. And if you continue repeating this process, you can see it can be pretty beneficial. Now I wanted to put this out there because if you want to buy in bulk, it's, in my opinion, I think it's definitely profitable. If you want to buy print on demand, don't do that in China. Do that in your local companies. Now, I hope you got a clear understanding of actually how to start your clothing brand from China from scratch. If you found some value from this video, please smash that like button. If you were confused throughout this process or have any questions, you can reach out to me on social media. You can write down in the comments below if you plan to start a brand or if you need some help with consultation. I am willing to help you find a supplier and walk you through the process. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to have weekly tips on having a better lifestyle in China as a foreigner, whether it's for business or just for your daily lifestyle. Thanks for staying tuned, keep surviving, and I'll catch you in the next episode.